A very good evening and welcome back to the Parent Adolescent Project. I am your moderator, Devasmita Sinha, Clinical Director at Mana Wellness. And today we're going to talk about something very interesting. But let me start with the story. So I'm Bengali. And for as long as I can remember, I have had to defend myself against random singing challenges thrown at me by random uncles and aunties, because I can't sing to save my life. But the saving grace was that I could paint. The point is that, music or art or any other form of creative expression is never just that. It's about how talented one is. It's about status. It's about skill and ultimately about success, right? And that leads to a lot of strange things. It leads to pressure. It leads to forming a strange relationship with these otherwise beautiful avenues of creativity, right? So today we're going to talk about adolescence and creativity and the role that it can play in their lives. And for that, we have psychologist Richa Sharma. She has been associated with adolescents and children for over a decade now. She's worked in schools as a school psychologist. She has taught in universities, taught psychology courses. She's a trained music therapist. So most of us try to, find one thing in our profession that we like, at least, right? Richa has been passionate about mental health and has been passionate about music. And she's one of those lucky people who've been able to combine the two things in her profession, right? So no better person to talk about creativity and what it can do for adolescents, right? So let's go ahead and decode creativity for adolescents. Over to you, Richa.
Thank you, Devasmita, for giving this very warm and beautiful introduction. And I would like to say that you are an equally creative person with painting, and maybe being born a Bengali makes you creative by default, right? So let us begin. I'm very happy that we have such an interesting topic to talk about today, and that is decoding adolescence with creativity. So what are we going to do in today's session? Let me just give a quick overview. So we are dividing our session into three segments. And in the first part, we will understand what goes on inside the adolescent mind. What is the world for the adolescent like? And for a teenager, the world is more in there than out there. So what is in there? Okay, we'll try to understand, because a lot of parents complain that teens, they just lock themselves inside the room and they do not come up, they do not speak, they don't share. So what is going on inside? Let us delve and try to have an understanding. Secondly, we will also try to establish how creativity can provide an outlet to all the things that are happening inside, the positive, the negative things, the turbulences, the challenges. And finally, we will brainstorm or we'll discuss a few of those techniques for parents that they might have conventionally thought of as only being worthy to be presented on the podium or on the stage. But those can be resources and tools that they can use inside their home every single day. So this is what our session today is going to be about. Moving on, the first portion includes understanding what goes on inside the adolescent mind. And I would like to introduce a few concepts for parents who have teenagers in their homes. And also, if we are adults, let us try to understand we were teens at a time. We went through a turbulent time at a time, and we felt that nobody understands us. Of course, we did not know that there are these psychological concepts and nomenclature to all of these that we encountered. So what happens? There are four concepts: personal fable, imaginary audience, formation of identity, which a lot of us already know, and self-focus. So let me individually discuss a very small portion about each of these. Personal
Let me
fable.
interrupt you a little
Yes,
bit, Richa.
yes,
So,
please.
this is for people who have joined us today and are watching us live. We would love to hear your thoughts and questions. So, do drop your questions in the messages or in the chat box, and we'll try and take them up during the session. That's all.
Yes.
Back to you.
Thank you, Nibasmita. So, personal fable. Think of yourself as the hero of your story. And every adolescent has a story where he or she or they are the protagonist or they are the victim, and other people are prohibiting them from realizing certain goals. So even in school counseling, we have met several teenagers who might say, nobody understands me. I feel this way, but there is no one who hears me, nobody who listens to me. And they also exaggerate events or happenings in their life, as in, you have no idea how bad it was for me. You cannot imagine how screwed up my family is, or how my friend cheated me and deceived me, and you just cannot imagine. And it's also filmy. So events in their lives appear so filmy to each of the teen, and they regard themselves as the hero or the heroine of their story. So this is referred to as personal fable. Coming to imaginary audience, a teen believes that everybody is looking out there at them. It feels like you're walking on the aisle, and there are people out there like a paparazzi, and they have those binoculars or magnifying glasses, and they are just obsessed. They're just looking at you. So even if it's a small instance like a teacher scolding you in the class, or even a sparrow dropping something on your head, or you fell into a muddy puddle or over a banana peel, it looks so huge to the teen. It looks so embarrassing to the child. So that's where they start believing that everybody is judging me. And that's when a tiny mole on the nose, or a small freckle on the skin, or wearing braces or spectacles, they begin to seem so embarrassing for the teenager. Now, coming to our third point out here, identity formation. Many of us have already heard about it many times. Teenagers, they are discovering their identity. They're trying to make sense of the world around themselves. They're no longer happy being son or daughter of Mr. and Mrs. In fact, even them questioning the very existence of their gender and various other aspects are all, a form of rebellion, you know, or just wanting to assert their identity. I am so and so. I'm not just your son and daughter. I have an identity of my own. And this clash between the parent and the child, cause adds to the turbulence more and more. And finally, again, similar to personal fable and imaginary audience, they are very self-focused, which means a teen will not understand your perspective. It doesn't mean he or she is insensitive. It just means that their egocentrism does not allow or enable them to think beyond their own selves. Their empathy has not grown to that extent. And I believe that's where creativity and those kind of pursuits can come in, building empathy, building more positive emotions in their lives. That's why it's also important. So I'd like to ask you, Debasmita, any reflection on any of these, anything you'd like to add here or share here?
No, it's very relatable. When you said we've been adolescents ourselves, and when I look back, I think inadvertently, I probably used art as a form of expression, drawing a lot of the things which were very difficult to express, right? And but it would have been so much nicer if there was a space where we were allowed to do this rather than just stumbling upon it, because maybe I was fortunate to stumble upon it and so many people were not, right? um, so yeah, that's what's my thought right now, but I'd love to hear more and see what you have to show as well.
Yeah, I can totally relate to that also. As an adolescent myself, I had the gift of music from my parents, and I remember myself playing the piano. And this was especially, after I was staying in a boarding school, in a residential school, and all my friends would look forward to watching television at that
Mhm.
midnight, that night hour after dinner. And that was my time of solitude. I love that everybody has gone down and I can take out my keyboard and
Right.
make music. I think that gave me an outlet for pent up emotions. Something bad happened to me in the day,
Absolutely.
and I'm able to release that emotion without being more vengeful. It was a
Mhm.
very creative outlet for me as I look back. And
Absolutely.
this is which is what we would love to give our adolescents and all the children in the world out there. So going uh, ahead with this, all of these concepts in mind, I would like to tell every parent out here, everyone who's listening to us right now, that a teenager is you. We give so many metaphors to children. They are like, a mud pot when we can give them any shape that we want to. Okay, and that gives so much of responsibility on our shoulders. But they are also like a sponge in that they absorb everything that they have, which means you just can't start parenting an adolescent today from day one. It was a cumulative process. You go back when the child was younger. What was your leisure like? How did you channelize your emotions? What were the practices that you uh, appreciated in your own home? Or so a teenager is like a loudspeaker and will amplify whatever they learn through their socializing agents, their parents, their teachers at school, at from politics, religion, media, and all of that. And they're also like lenses that they reflect everything that they see around. So since childhood, whatever the teenager has been listening to from their parents with respect to appearance, you have been praising somebody for the color of the skin, or you have been body shaming someone, and they have absorbed it like a sponge. You have thought of gender roles in a certain manner, and you know it affects your teenager, their self concept. What do you talk to your child? What do you tell them? What does your appreciation look like to them? What are the things that you commend them for, or what are the things that you um, punish them for, or doesn't make you happy? All of these things are absorbed. Your
Mm.
ideas on money, your ideas on politics, religion, success, everything influences your adolescent. This gives a lot of responsibility and burden on the parent's shoulder, but this is what it is. Debasmita, are you with me?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. In fact, I'm thinking how the influence that parents have on their children, teenagers, is actually very varied. It can be in many different ways. Sometimes a very strong attitude can be absorbed as it is, or it can be rebelled against. So it's not literally passed on as is, but in its own unique sort of mutated, if I may use the word,
Absolutely. Yes, I
form,
too.
right?
Yeah, you put it very,
And
very ideally.
yeah, you're so right in this. It reminds me of this quote. I don't remember where I read it, but it said that everything that's inside your head today was sometime outside, right?
Oh,
So
that's
for
that's really,
adult,
really very, very well said. Very beautiful.
yeah.
And I totally agree to that. Shall we move on? Yeah. So, having understood all the areas and all the aspects and all the things that affect the adolescent, it's now time for us to start talking about creativity. And Deba Smith, I would like to ask you, what do you think creativity means? You've already shared a lot, being a Bengali child, but
Um, See, I feel sometimes there's pressure in that too. Like
yes, yeah.
you being Bengali, you have to be creative, you have to know how to sing and dance, and I can't do any of those things. But I think creativity, I see it in two ways. Earlier, I would look at it as in being able to create something that is different, that is new. So there was that. And I was coming from this area of being able to create art, or being able to create string words together and create poetry. So that was creativity. But as I grew up, I realized that creativity is not so much the product, but it's the process. And
Very well
it's
said.
about
Yes.
how we are coming up with it, you know. And much later, a designer friend of mine shared with me, and he said this in Marathi.
Mhm.
He said that, so about creative thinking, this person's a designer. He says, it's very easy.
Hmm.
पहिले 100 डिझाईन काढून टाकायचे.
You'll have to translate
And
that for
I'll
me, please.
translate that. So he said that creativity is very easy, you know. The first 100 ideas that you have, you just throw it out.
Okay.
And he said that so easily, it made me wonder that, oh, wow, you have 100 ideas about one thing. I don't go beyond 4 because,
Divergent
you know,
thinking. He's
yeah,
doing
that's all
divergent.
we
Yeah.
need. So then I started looking at creativity differently. I said, oh, okay, that means, you know, you keep at it, you keep doing it. And then there's that process that, you know, just happens somehow, right? Maybe you can talk more about that, but that's maybe creative thinking.
Very nicely expressed, Debasmita. And a lot of researchers, a lot of psychologists have studied creativity, and people continue to be mesmerized by creativity. And creativity, as many of us know, um, is thinking out of the box, generating novel ideas, producing objects or ideas or, um, you know, service that adds value to the world, expressing unconventional concepts, embracing fresh perspectives, allowing any kind of discovery, that makes the world more beautiful. Okay. But I have a more beautiful perspective to creativity as I grew up and as I embraced creativity through music and all other media. I began to understand that, even if you're brooming your home, even if you're cleaning your home, you're cleaning a wardrobe, that is an act of creativity if you add mindfulness and gratitude and those positive emotions associated to that. If you do not dread that act, if you do not feel, oh my God, I have to clean up, I have to do this, and I change the perspective to I get to do this. And I feel here as a parent, if you, um, both ways, if you go to both extremes, if you either tell your child, you have to do this, it is important, you have to clean the house, it is a task and this is your work to do, that is one way. And another way is many parents, pamper their children and say, it's not your work, the house help will be doing that. I would say both are extremes. And in today's time, since COVID, it's really important for the parent to make the teen realize that house cleaning, or for that matter, any work that they do inside their home, is a very essential task to do. It's a life skill. They need it. They need those skill sets. And enabling them to do that in their home through trial and error, making mistakes, supporting them through their mistakes, is a great gift that parents can offer to their children. So, alternative perspectives to creativity would mean, anything that you do can be an act of creativity if you immerse yourself fully inside it, if you enjoy that act, and if you create an output that adds value to your home, even if that means making pasta or making tea and serving that to your parents. So in that way, creativity is a very important life skill and a lifestyle. Debasmita, do you agree?
Wonderfully. I agree with it completely, you know, and a lot of questions are coming to my mind, which I will sort of bring up one at a time. But I like how you've widened what we mean by creativity by saying that it's anything that we do that we can immerse ourselves in, we enjoy doing it, and it adds value. You know, it adds something to the world. That's creativity. I think that's beautiful. But also I see how, you know, when I look around, creativity is limited to, for adolescents, for children, to what are the classes available. Art class, creative writing class, you know, drama class is also, you know, not one of the popular choices. um, and that is what it is, right? So the perspective for most, you know, parents is that, okay, how do I hone this talent that my child has, and let me put that child in a class and let him learn that, and then we'll see where it goes, right? So I would want to ask you, you know, is that okay? Can that be modified, improved? That whole way of functioning that we have that's so common, what do we do with that?
That is a wonderful question. And in fact, we are moving ahead with those discussions. But I'm so glad that you bring this up. And to this, I would like to say, um, all the reality shows or all the competitions and all the, neighborhood, people showcase their children as if they are a commodity, and that they offer this value. The report card shows the so and so grades. If somebody sings well, they have to showcase that to every community event,
Right.
and and it could be that the child enjoys singing, but he or she does not want to sing out there on the podium. The child does not feel like um, being a puppet. I would say the child might
Putting
enjoy
themselves out
singing
there
inside the
for public
washroom.
scrutiny.
Yes, yes. uh, this happened with me, and I think I'm very lucky that my parents never forced me to showcase my singing talent when I was younger. And I think they waited for me to fully be able to be more comfortable. And when I
Hmm.
felt like uh, coming outside and blooming on my own, I think they allowed that, and that's a
Hmm.
great blessing. But coming back to your question, um, I think we really we have gotten it wrong so far. And it's not our parents' fault. This is what they have learned. Our parents, they do not have a manual to
Hmm.
parent their children. They have
Yes.
learned it from their parents, and of course, which is an obsolete idea now. It's 20 years back or 30 years back. And
Hmm.
also the prototype that they have around, it makes them feel guilty. If I am not showcasing my child enough, I am not a good parent. In fact, look at that parent. His child goes to 5 classes a week, and I'm not sending my child to any class at all, which means I might be a very careless or a lousy
Hmm.
parent. So I would say it's not, I think it's not just turbulence for the adolescent, it's turbulence for the parent as well. Even they are trying to make sense of how do I do it better,
Right.
which is why discussions like what we are doing here right now at Mana through the Parent Adolescent Project is so important. We need to
Mhm.
talk about things. We also need to bring out ideas and concepts that might have worked in the past, but they do not work anymore. Okay,
Right.
so coming
Right.
back to the question that you asked, we will come here to yeah, let me come here. Why do we parents uh, send our children to um, talent schools or art classes and all, and we do not just enjoy the process instead? Okay.
Hmm.
um, I will be coming here, but before this, I think it'll be helpful for us to understand how creativity helps
Hmm.
adolescents, and uh,
Right.
how it can offer so many positive emotions for both the parent and the child. I
Hmm.
would, creativity is not important just for the teen, it's also equally important for the parent.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So the first and the foremost, and I think it's the, I think it's the keyword since COVID, better mental health. Hashtag mental health is so popular since COVID.
Hmm.
And creativity definitely leads to better mental health and promotes more positive emotions. It
Hmm.
yields joy and calmness.
Right.
And just a while back, we were talking about being immersed into doing a certain thing that we enjoy doing. And that leads to a state of flow.
Hmm.
Okay. And
Hmm.
I'd like to take a moment here and express what flow means. Flow is a positive psychology concept proposed by a very popular psychologist, Mihai Csikszentmihalyi. And he studied people who were creative and
Hmm.
who were so fully immersed into doing something that they lost track of time.
True.
And time stood still for them. They experienced lower heart rate, and they felt more positive and more resilient. They felt more empathetic about the world. They embraced a more broader and diverse kinship kind of a worldview. Okay. So this is flow state, and we can experience this in our home. How incredible can that be? Okay. For the teenager, this can really give them a time of privacy, you know. Like imagine, for instance, an adolescent loves making music, and we as parents keep telling them, you're just wasting your time making music. Why don't you prepare for your IIT exams? And while the child is producing or making music, playing an instrument or producing a song, writing a song, that child is in in a different zone. The child might not be able to express how hurt or how bad he feels or how frustrated he feels, and through that music, through that flow state, he's able to channelize all of that. Okay. So creativity also aids in better self-expression for an adolescent. It helps them build identity, like you said, um, that you enjoyed painting and you
Yeah.
really loved doing that, and that gave you a sense of identity. What were the problems? We'll come to that in the next slide, just a while later. So it also serves as an outlet to pent up emotions and transfer of training. By this we mean, if you learn something in one particular medium, say for example drawing or art, and
Mm.
you're able to work with colors, you're able to transfer that training or learning into another area as well. And this is a quality which so many of the CEOs and global leaders really look up to. So I remember when I made music and when I played the piano, I think it helped me in learning math as well. And I hated math for a very long time. But
I
when,
think we just need to pause here, and take in the full sort of impact of what you just said, that learning piano helped you do math better. I want to sort of, drive home this point because it's interesting how, in the school years and especially in the high school years, there are so many kids who would tell me that, oh, I used to play football or I used to, sing, but then it's my board year, so I quit. Board
yes,
exams, very important priority,
I
so I
can relate.
left what I really
Yeah,
loved doing, and now I'm very stressed. So while I understand that boards are priority,
they are.
but this whole concept of creative thinking, the fact that doing something creative leads to the development of certain circuits in your
Yes,
brain, which will help you think creatively in future, is often a connection that we're not able to make. Because for us, creativity is like, acha, theek hai, art contest, so what? It's fine. It's not as important. Do science or do commerce, do an MBA, become a doctor. Till till you become a CEO or a leader, then suddenly creativity is very important, because now you have
absolutely,
to solve
absolutely. Yes, yes,
world's
absolutely.
problems using creativity,
Yeah.
right? Creative thinking. So transference in creativity is, I think, a very, very important factor. And it's why creativity should be given its really due place in a child's
Due
life.
place. Right, right, right. And also regarded as one of the most important life skills in
Yeah,
school curriculums, in parents. Creativity should not remain just a word.
yeah.
It should it should become a practice for the parents, for all adults, and that is only how the adolescents or children will be able to enjoy creativity. You might have heard this. I don't know if you've heard this in my culture. They say, to a child of 5 year or 6 year old, पढ़ोगे लिखोगे तो बनोगे नवाब, and खेलोगे
Mm-hmm.
कूदोगे तो होगे खराब.
Oh,
And
wow.
yeah, and that puts the child into so much of pressure and guilt. Oh my god, I'm playing, I will become kharab,
Hmm.
and I have to become like a nawab. And why do we have to become nawab? I'll be happy playing football.
Hmm.
um I think I recently read a study of the six lives, Debasmita, and
Okay.
the six lives, and there were different lives of the CEO and of
Mm-hmm.
globally successful leaders, and we had to check out, um, which life do we value the most. And you'll be
Mm-hmm.
surprised, the life that everybody valued the most was that of a mason. Okay. But
Mm-hmm.
why? Because he was leading a very happy married life with his wife, and all of his children were very happy. They were fulfilled. He was surrounded by his grandchildren. I think this says something about human fulfillment.
Hmm.
We really value connections, we really value family, we really value our bondings. It's actually the quality of our connections that are so important, and yet we ignore all of these things in the pursuit of a rat race, which I don't know, like, why have we created? And
Mhm.
we end up burning out, and that's when we realize, okay, we have to slow down. But now I
Mm.
wish I started this 10 years back or 15 years back, you know.
Yeah.
And
In fact, there is so much study, in I think all over the world, which connects creativity to happiness and resilience. Right. So a creative thinking that has been harnessed over time can actually lead to resilience in some of the most difficult times that
yes,
one can imagine. Right. So you're
yes.
essentially developing a child's or an adolescent's personality. You're making them strong to handle, curveballs that life is going to throw at them,
And life is so
by
unpredictable.
harnessing their creativity. Right. But I had a question, and
Yes.
here is that often, as we started out saying that this person is creative, or that person is so creative, it kind of gives the impression that creativity is inherent, like you either are creative or you aren't. And I want you to shed some light on that, because if a child naturally picks up a paintbrush and starts painting, or is very musical, we just label them, oh, he's so creative.
Mhm.
But by labeling that one child, we're also sort of labeling the other, saying, oh, but you're not that creative.
Yes, absolutely.
So,
That's
yeah.
that's a great question, Debasmita. Um, Tell me a child that does not like to pick up colors and throw them on the paper.
Throw them on the paper,
Throw them,
yes.
throw them on the paper, and they enjoy
Mhm.
doing that, right? And that is creative. Of course, we have to clean up the mess later on, and we judge that this is not creative at all. I mean, that drawing does not look as aesthetic as we want, but that's us who is judging.
Mhm.
For the child's point of view, they love to dip their fingers inside the, buckets of paint and just put all out there. I feel every child is creative. Every child in their own way. All children
Mhm.
have different somatosensory sensitivity towards various things. Some child
Mhm.
might be more sensitive towards music. They might love listening to music. Some child
Mhm.
might be more inclined towards movement. They'll tap
Mhm.
their feet on dance. All
Mhm.
children might, but some children might show exceptional ability to do that.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
All children might paint very well. Some children might exactly copy what you're showing. Some children
Mhm.
might not copy at all. They will improvise.
Mhm.
They might be more creative, unconventional.
Right,
Okay.
right. I just want
Some
to
children.
emphasize on this a little bit and say that, what you said, just repeat that all children are creative.
Yes. Let
Some
us.
may be exceptionally talented in certain areas, but all children have creativity. And I think it's for parents to recognize that what looks like a doodle or a scratch on the wall is their expression of creativity. Like a puddle on the floor or paint splotches all over your clothes is their expression of creativity, even if it doesn't resemble a known object form, right?
And I would like to add one more point out here, Devasmita. We do not. We do not need to take a picture of that and laminate that on the wall and certify it or showcase that to the world and say that, look how creative my child is, look how unconventional. We see, there's nobody to showcase. It's for us to enjoy and savor. We could just, stop there for a moment and mindfully enjoy that moment. I think we'll receive more when we do that
Mm.
than we just take it in a mechanical photo capturing manner and put it out. That's also good, but let's not over focus on to just capturing everything that our children do. Let us sometimes even enjoy that whole
Right.
process. Otherwise, even
Like
they
you
start
said,
delivering. They
coming
also.
back, it's about immersiveness, it's about enjoying, and it's about adding value to yourself and the world around you. Doesn't always have to amount to validation.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yes, absolutely. Very well said. Can we move ahead? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, please.
So why do we undervalue creativity, Debasmita? I'm answering your question here. Okay.
Mhm.
Why do so many parents not allow their children to be creative? I have a small case study to share out here. I had a student, she was a ninth grader, and she told me that she loved reading books. And I said, yeah, please, by all means read. And she had a gift of gab. She spoke really well, she wrote very well, she enjoyed
Mhm.
literature. And she said, my mom says, why are you wasting your time reading books? If you have to read book, please read your academic books, go to read
Mhm.
your school books.
Mhm.
They're enough for you at this age. Okay. um I felt a little sad at that kind of a mindset, Devasmita. If your child enjoys reading, I mean, and if you are able to enable or afford that kind of a lifestyle for the child, please allow them to embrace or explore as much reading as they can. Okay, if there is something that your child really enjoys doing, instead of judging, yeah, so why do we judge? We feel that our child has to be perfect, they have to beat all other children in the world in that area. And there are millions or billions of children. How will we compete? How can we be the only one? It's not considered as a life skill. Many parents think that it's a waste of time. We have 24 hours and you have to study, you have to go for your tuition, and all the other demands. Um, Pressure from media and peer. Again, like we said, padhoge to banoge nawab and khiloge to ho jaoge kharab. So the media also puts this in you. You might have noted, Debasmita, you're in 11th standard, you've not yet started taking coaching for your entrance exams. My God, you've
Oh
lost
yeah,
out. Even from 7th standard, you should have started, isn't it? All
absolutely.
that pressure, unrealistic pressure on our children. Um, no time for leisure. Parents themselves do not have time, from their work. And when they come home, they want their me time. And that's not with children. They just want a segregated me time. And so much of career and academic pressure. And I hope this answers your question on why so many parents do not
True.
embrace or value creativity as much as they should.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, no, it does. It does. I think in the same breath, I would also like to draw the distinction between creativity being a skill as opposed to it being a hobby. It's a skill that you need for life to succeed in life. It's not just a hobby that you have on, on the side. Maybe win a prize or two. That's not what it is.
Very well. Yeah, very well said, Debasmita. In fact, transfer of training, the resilience that you have, like even gardening, when you
Hmm.
pot a plant,
Absolutely.
and when you water the plant and it takes days for the flower to come, that builds resilience, that builds patience inside you.
True.
When your
True.
painting comes up and shows, when your musical composition, it just develops, grows, your poetry begins to grow, or even the cleanup that you've done in your home, you
Absolutely.
how beautiful you feel when all the clutter is gone.
True.
That all
True.
of that is a very
Even cooking,
important.
something that we do every day, which is so underrated, can be such a beautiful expression of, creativity. It's such a complex act,
It
actually,
is, it is
right?
absolutely.
And
And it's so dreaded. I don't want to cook.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
people want to shy away or shrug away, and parents attach gender stereotypes associated with such
exactly.
acts. And here we at Mana Wellness would like to tell our parents that please do not handicap your child by just enabling one particular child to drive a car and one to not drive a car, or just to cook. I mean,
Mm,
please adopt a very holistic. You never know what are the skills that your child might need ahead, so please enable them as much as you can.
right.
So shall we move ahead? Yeah. Yeah. So we come towards the end of
Mm,
our discussions here, and we are brainstorming, the Basmita. We're talking about certain ideas that
mhm,
teens and parents
mhm.
can employ
True.
in their homes. And this is not a mandate out here. We're just
Mhm.
sharing a few ideas, but please go all creative and feel free to generate your own ideas.
Right. Right.
What feels good to you. These are a few that I felt I could share.
Mhm,
So the first
mhm.
one is music. And it's not just that you don't have to have a great voice to sing.
Mhm.
Parents and children can sit down together and they can just sing. And if there is a, if you follow religion or spirituality, or if there is anything that your culture
Mm,
um, has some beauty to share with you. Like for instance, Robindra Shungeet, sit together and sing Robindra Shungeet, sit together and chant Gita shlokas or a church hymn, anything. You just sing. I remember my brother and I, we would sit down and sing so many Christmas carols. And it was something so outside our culture. But just doing that was so healing for us, and that's a nostalgia we look forward to. So music, sing together, okay, or write a song together, write lyrics together, listen to music together. I would say this is a great family bonding act when you play a song and you just sit down and close your eyes or maybe hold hands with each other and listen to that piece of music. Not to criticize the singer or not to say, Are, this could have done it better, or that could be. No, I mean, just enjoy the all the elements that are there in the song. Listen, and I would say, do not just stick to your own comfort zone. Listen to Elton John. Listen to Bhupen Hazarika. Listen to a Gujarati folk song. Like, listen to things that you. So that is how you bring in so many multiple perspectives for your child, isn't it, Devasmita? And the world needs that more now. Um, listen to tribal music or Native American flute. Listen to all of that. I've done that, and that has really broadened my worldview and my perspective towards life in general.
That is so true. And I think, when you say that we have to, as parents, explore, as parents, find our own creative little niche, little corner, because, even we are all creative, right? So there must be something that is my creative expression, and it's okay to do that. In fact, I think that I kind of see a slight shift there, thanks to maybe Instagram or Pinterest. There is more acceptance for my own form of art, like making something out of waste, or painting glasses or bottles, or creating something and putting it out there. And so many of we're talking about children, and I digress a little bit, but I think it's relevant. So many middle-aged people, men, women, both, have suddenly taken to these things. They are singing on Smule and putting it out there, and they are making things out of paper mache and whatnot, and putting it out there. And this wave is great. It's good, and I think it's going to impact the adolescents as well. Nothing works better for children than to watch the adults in their life do something.
Absolutely. You say it, Debasmita. Yeah. And DIYs, parents doing DIYs
Right.
and enjoying that process. That serves as the best role model for the child. The child seeing that my parent is enjoying an act is the greatest validation for the child that, okay, it's okay for me to try this.
Absolutely.
And I would say it's amazing for them to share on Pinterest and Instagram and Facebook and all. It's incredible. But I would just like to remind parents and teenagers out here that all the likes and all the external validation is not what we're looking for out there. We're just looking for self-expression. We're just creating something and putting it out there. If somebody likes or enjoys, that comes secondary. Our enjoyment is the primary objective out here. And then we come to dance or playing a sport. I would say for boys especially, and it's not just father and son playing a football or a basketball game together. Moms, please join in, add anything. You can have a family sporting day, on a Sunday or on a Saturday evening where all of you play together, and you do not have to make reels that time. It can be screen free. We had a digital detox TPAP last week itself. So just enjoy there, and I think that makes us feel so nourished. Gardening, for instance, journaling, doodling is not just randomly spoiling your page. It is putting out there. It's an outlet for you. It is cathartic. You are releasing your emotions.
I just had such a flashback, and I think I have to talk about it. So I doodle a lot. I think even now, most of even my work diary will have doodles in the corner, and, here and there, things like that. And this, don't waste pages. I have heard this so much growing up from my mother, from my teachers, that why are you wasting pages? You wasted 3-4 pages at the end. Why did you do all this? And yeah, there was just something, see, little ways in which parents talk and children
Yes,
hear, and
absolutely,
it, the
absolutely.
way it stays with them.
I have an amazing answer to that, neighbor Smita. You know, the great Nobel Prize winner, the most revered Sri Rabindranath Thakur doodles so
Mhm.
much.
Oh yeah,
He
yeah,
wrote, and his doodles are out there on Kolkata metro stations, and we
absolutely,
treasure them like anything. And who says
absolutely,
doodles are bad? They were his expressions. Khalil Gibran doodled, as he wrote his poetry, and
absolutely.
they give us a peek.
Satyajit Ray doodled
He did.
while he was creating screenplays for films.
Yes,
So yeah,
yes.
like all great people doodle. I wish my parents knew that.
And they're all icons of
I'm sure.
creativity. We adulate all of these people so much.
Mm-hmm.
We look up to them. And so when our children do that, let's be thankful. They're not doing anything nasty, right? They're
Of
just
course.
doodling on a page. It's okay. They're not doing anything, I would say, very delinquent, right?
Hmm.
Yeah. So be grateful. This is an amazing practice that I tried and I really enjoyed. It's called vegetable painting. Cut a
Mm-hmm.
beetroot and just paint it. I mean, just make, spirals or layers or anything that you like. Take a spinach leaf
Randomly, yeah.
and just put it out there on the paper, and you can
Mm-hmm.
make greeting cards out of this, and you can gift it to your family members. They might wonder what that it's crazy, but I
Right.
think being crazy is being creative. Yeah.
Right, right, in
So
so many ways. I have a question, Richa, and I'll put it forward right now. You can find the right space to answer it. So as a parent, I often wonder what is the area that my children would want to explore more. Just because I paint doesn't mean I want to push painting on them, but I don't know what to explore. And I don't have the means to explore a lot of, when I say means, as in I don't, I'm not going to be able to help them much with music, maybe, or singing rather, not music, singing, or maybe with um, something else that is wonderful that they might have a thing for, but it's not my thing. So I don't know. There are no natural avenues to explore that in my house, right? So
that's an
how does it,
amazing question. That
yeah,
is,
how does a parent decide? While we're talking about allowing them to do all of these things, it's also maybe a valid question to recognize that I think of myself as like, I'm not creative. I don't have talents. How do I then do this for my child? How do I expose him or her to the different ways? How do I ensure, how do I capture, how do I recognize, first of all, that, oh, okay, my child has a talent for maybe theater. How do you know that?
this is the best time to ask this question, because we are talking about having conversations. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say from an early age, children show certain inclination towards something that they like.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And there'll be several signs, but there might be a lot of cases where parents do not see those signs, or
Mm,
uh, the child is able to express it later. Okay.
right.
What lights up your child's eyes is how I judge it, like how
Oh,
to
that's so
identify.
beautiful.
When you
Mm-hmm.
talk about something, what brightens up their eyes?
Mm,
When they see a dance, even if it's a even if it's a Gangnam style dance, and your child just loves looking at it and it looks so crazy to them, and they enjoy, and they ask you to please repeat, please play that
mm,
again, and you
mm-hmm.
feel bored. You're like, what crazy music is that? What kind of a dance is that? And the child has loved doing that.
Mm-hmm.
It brightened their eyes. That
Mm-hmm.
could be a sign, Devasmita. Or the
Right.
child insisting on, please, I want colors, please give it to me. I
Mm,
want this paper. And the child has finished the drawing book you just brought, and they finished it in 2 days. They
mm,
might be enjoying painting a lot. Okay. So I
right.
would say try and explore for an early age. Keep exploring through two, three
Mm,
media,
mm-hmm.
two, three
Mm-hmm.
areas at least, and see how your child responds to each of them. I'm a
Right.
good singer doesn't mean my child has to enjoy singing, no matter how much I would love her to sing. But she might
Mm,
enjoy dance, and I'm not good at dance at all.
mm-hmm.
But this is an expression of creativity, and for her, this is her, route to express
Mm-hmm.
herself. And as a parent, what I can do is I can study a bit about it. I can
Mm-hmm.
explore the various forms of dance. I can talk to her or showcase her. social media makes it so easy, Debasmita. On
Yeah.
YouTube, you find endless options. So
Mm.
just showing her, or maybe trying to change various options on YouTube, and also trying to find out something in my local community,
Yeah.
somebody
Yeah.
who can provide some kind of guidance, because a
Mm.
real one-to-one guidance for a child is very valuable.
So true.
It's the synergy between a mentor and a child that really
Absolutely.
transpires between them. So I think that answers your
It
question,
does.
Basmita.
It does. I just had a thought and I'll share it here. So, a lot of times, you don't have to enroll a child to a class, because I see that as an investment, which we might have to think twice about sometimes, that, oh, I don't want to invest so much money, because typically, again, something I hear is that, yeah, we started the class, he went for 2 weeks and then he didn't like it. So maybe in the initial stages, we can just expose the child to people we know, our friends, family, extended, network. If somebody is an artist or somebody is in theater, let them go see, watch, hang around, be there, talk about it. And if that sparks joy in them,
It does, yes,
yeah,
yes.
then you pursue it.
Call the child's friend at your home on a Saturday.
Hmm.
All the friends who love music, make them sit down, tell them I'll give you cookies, and they talk about music,
Hmm.
and they share songs with each other. So you as a parent can just facilitate, you know, bonding and meeting with your children
Hmm.
and their friends. And I think they'll really love and respect you for doing that. It'll help
Hmm.
you bond so much better. So yeah, you shared a very, very nice tip out here with trying and not spending or investing or putting your money out there, because two classes and all your money is gone is not wise and not
Yeah.
recommended. Just explore before you really get into that. Okay.
Hmm.
And yeah, here are more ideas like creating a comic together, writing a skit, cooking, drawing. Enjoy house cleaning, have a house cleaning Sunday once a month or once a fortnight,
Yeah.
and be in it together, immerse in it together, make chai together. You have rituals around those things and really enjoy that process.
Yes.
So finally, towards the end, I'd just like to leave parents with this one thought, what is the medium that you find yourself most comfortable in expressing yourself, or your child finds most comfortable in
Hmm.
expressing himself or herself or themselves? um,
Right.
what brightens up your eyes? And parents are not dry, parents are not
Hmm.
as serious people as they really look like.
Hmm.
There's so many responsibilities and so many things. There are things that really brighten up their eyes. Explore
Yeah.
that, talk to your child about that,
Hmm.
get to their level, enjoy a
Yeah.
hobby together, enjoy that process, allow it as an outlet for both of you. You
Hmm.
don't have to be a perfect singer, you don't have to shake a leg and be the best, moonwalker like Michael Jackson was. You can just enjoy doing that. You don't have to
True.
be a Michelangelo or a Picasso. You just have to be yourself, and you are the best parent for your child.
Hmm.
Nobody else does it better than you,
True.
isn't it?
True.
Yeah.
This is beautiful. I think the idea that, let's take a step back and as parents find what is our own form of expression, what sparks joy in us. And then maybe we will open up the window through which we can find what sparks joy in our children and
Yes.
expose them to so many other things that, that's out there. Right. And we actually named just a few, but there are so many things out there. Right. And the key is to expose them to as many different
As
things
many.
as possible.
And
So
diverse.
diverse,
Different
exactly, like
cultures. Yeah.
a culture, different forms of expression. There are exhibitions happening, or you're traveling. Just have that tab open in your mind as a parent constantly. That, oh, there is forms of creativity that we can maybe just look at,
Even
right?
check out Google Maps together, explore atlases, explore different countries, their routes, and look
Mm,
up for them on,
absolutely.
study more about. There's so many ideas.
Another thought that really sort of stood out for me, and I think is important for all of us to remember, is that somehow we have coupled the concept of creativity and being good at something. I see how deep the conditioning is, that even in this conversation, you and I said so many times, I'm not good at singing, I'm not good at dancing,
Yeah.
but we don't have to be good at
You
singing
don't
and
have to.
dancing,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
We can just sing and dance and enjoy the process. But point to be noted that, it's so deep rooted, this conditioning, and, it doesn't put you and me above everyone else, that, oh, we don't, we're beyond this. We're just as much in this. So this is just as much a reminder for ourselves as it is for all of you out there, that creativity is about the response that you have to a certain thing, right? And the inner process, and whether it sparks joy, whether it adds value or not to you, and then to the world, right?
Whether
If
you're
these things are,
courageous to try, make mistakes. Whether,
absolutely.
yeah, so that is creativity.
Right, right.
Yeah,
And again, reiterating the fact that it is a life skill.
it is.
Creative thinking is a
Yeah.
life skill. It's something that, one needs to really find fulfillment, find success even, right? And it is something that can be harnessed like all other skills. And the sooner you start, the better it is.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
Right, Richa?
Yes.
Um, any other thoughts, any other sort of, anything else that you would like to add? Any questions anyone has? Please feel free to ask.
Just a sec. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So last thought that I have is creativity, or any pursuit, or any hobby that we have in our home, um, enables us to bond better with each other. So when we are engaging in creativity, it's enabling us to bond with our children better. Okay. And every parent wants to connect better with their child, and here this is one of the best ways that you can connect with your child, with your teenager who is not expressing, or who's not talking, or who does not
Right.
feel that you will understand their emotions. And you can use creativity as a medium or as a tool to, they cannot say a certain thing, but they can draw together with you, they can
Right.
make music with you. So so yeah, creativity is a great family binder, I would say,
Absolutely.
and you offer them not just a life skill, but you give them something to look forward to all their life. And
It's a resource. You're so
it
right
is.
about it. In fact, music, theater, art are so heavily correlated with forms of treatment in mental health, especially trauma or grief. So you're, without realizing, you're actually equipping them with a very, very powerful coping tool,
Yes,
right,
right.
for adversities that they will face in life. So that's really the role of creativity in an adolescent's life. The likes and the adulation and prizes and trophies are all really the bonus, right?
Right. Yeah, very well said.
Thank you so much, Richa, for this very insightful and so honest conversation on. I think there's so much of you that came out in this conversation, and it's really adds to this it enriches the conversation. So thank you so much for doing that. And I think some really wonderful nuggets again have emerged from this conversation as well. And I hope that people who are watching this will find ways and avenues to explore creativity with their children, right? Thank you so much, Richa,
I'm
for
thankful to you, Debasmita, and to Mana Wellness for curating this whole series of conversations around parenting, in that too with adolescents. All of you are doing such amazing work. Yeah.
I think this would be a good moment to acknowledge our founders, Dr. Ashwin Nayak and Ritika Arora, who have been the power behind anything that we do. and one other person who has been sort of really the person who puts all of this together. So I would request Ria Singhal, if you're here, to come on screen, please. And yeah, that's Ria. She's the one who puts this together, coordinates with everybody, does all the things that helps us come on screen and speak. So thank you so much, Ria, for doing this. It's not easy to do an event once every week, and you've done this for 8 weeks in a row. So congratulations.
Thank
we
you so
see
much,
the effort. Thank you so much.
Definitely.
And yeah, go ahead.
It's just, I'm very honored, and it's always a pleasure working for the community, for the parents. And this is the time I feel. So looking forward to having more sessions through Mana on this parent adolescent project. Thank you.
Thanks, Ria. Thank you so much. Lastly, thanks to all our audience, people who've been watching and supporting and leaving comments and questions. It's really the encouragement that drives us. Mana believes in preventive and proactive well-being. And the Parent Adolescent Project is born out of that ideology that, if we address parenting and if we address issues that adolescents are facing, we will be proactive, we'll be one step ahead of life itself. And we'll be able to sort of enhance well-being for an entire generation. So thank you everyone for joining in, putting this together. Once again, thank you, Richa. Thanks, Ria. We will be back next Friday with another speaker and another interesting topic. Till then, please stay with us. Thank you.